Welcome to the Sunday Studies Podcast, a weekly message of hope to fight back those feelings of dread, fear, or anxiety of the week to come. This is a place to pause and find momentary solace and encouragement before you dive into the days ahead. Here's to finding it and feeling it together. What's up, everybody? All you humans, humanoid creatures, or anything that may be similar to a human being. Thanks for being here on the Sunday Studies, the 50th edition. That's half of 100 for those of you who are keeping count. That's a lot, and I hope it doesn't stop anytime soon. And so, with all that weird talk about humans in the beginning, I thought I'd let you know that this week's Sunday Studies is about being a human being and the complexity and simplicity and the beauty and the scariness and all the things about being a human that make it wonderful and not so wonderful and all these other things. That sounds like a lot of talk that doesn't make a lot of sense. So maybe I should just read what I wrote this week instead and let you fill in the gaps for what you think it means. But in the meantime, you can go over to jakeelliff.substack.com, or if you're listening on the podcast, you can go check out my beautiful face on YouTube at Elliff I Know, or you can do anything else that you want to do because you're a human and you have that choice. But today's Sunday Studies, number 50, is entitled Knowing and Yet Not Knowing. And it's a lot about being a human being and sometimes not wanting to be a human being. It's weird. It is what it is. But if nothing else, it's the 50th Sunday Studies, and it goes like this: knowing and yet not knowing. Let's do it. It is hard being a human sometimes. There are days when I wish I could just be something like a tree or a cloud or a couch or anything else that you could think of that has no responsibility or necessity within itself other than to simply exist. To be something with no desires, wants, longings, disappointments, letdowns, or any other feeling in between. Have you ever thought about that before? Maybe I'm just weird, but it baffles me that of all living things that we know of, we are the only known creatures with the innate ability to desire beyond natural instinct. We, as humans, who are made out of stardust and space matter, are amongst the only known creatures that need to know why they exist. This baffles me, and it makes my head hurt if I'm being quite honest with you. But I also think that it helps me make sense of why there are days when I want to be more like a Dr. Pepper and less like a person. We are not simple creatures, us humans. And to be quite honest, most of this place where we live and the things that make it up aren't very simple either. There's billions upon billions of things that we do not understand about our existence. However, I think that there's beauty in both the knowing and the not knowing that makes being alive special. First, in the knowing. I've already said this multiple times before today, that we as humans are different. Not only were we born to ask questions, but we were born to understand that we can ask questions. We as humans know things. As far as we know, a pencil doesn't know it's a pencil, nor does a panda bear know that it's a panda bear. But we as people, who are made out of the very same space particles and as pencils and pandas, recognize who we are, what we are, and we want to know more about it. Now, for the not knowing. Existing is really weird. And the more you start thinking about existing, the weirder it gets. The harsh reality of our knowledge of our existence is that it always leaves an empty space for us. We will never know everything there is to know about why we are here, what we are here for, or where this whole thing is headed. I don't even know if we will ever even truly know all the things about ourselves fully. much less understand the point of our existence. But this brings me back to the trees and the clouds and the couches, the Dr. Peppers, the pencils, the pandas, and everything else on this planet besides us humans. All these other creations, and so many more, don't ask to know why they are here, what they are here for, or where this whole thing is going. It is as though they've been programmed or created with the ability to trust without ever having to know what trust is. And yet, in their unknowing, their simple existence and being here, they show us humans so much about the beauty of being here. They teach us that no amount of answers will ever satisfy, and that knowing things doesn't make you wise. Most times, it empties you to the point where you wish you could be less like a thing that knows stuff, and more like a thing that doesn't care to know things and is happy to simply exist. This week is a weird Sunday Studies, but I hope that it helps you feel something that you need, even if you can't put words to it. If you feel as though you need to know more, I suggest that you go for it. Dive into every special ability that makes you different from all the rest of creation and seek with all of your heart. It's what makes us humans and helps push us all forward. But if you're feeling burnout and exhausted by your own humanness and all the complexity that it contains, know that you can choose to know less. You are not alone in your tiredness. You are not weird for wanting to take a break from being a person every now and then. If that is you, I encourage you to look at all the things around you wherever you are. If you are around other humans in your line of sight, that's perfectly fine. Take a moment and be grateful for them. More importantly, I want you to keep looking around at everything else you see. The walls, the floors, the windows, trees, clouds, sky, grass, books, beds, or whatever else that you see in front of you. Don't just look at these things. Observe them. Watch as they continue to do exactly what they were made to do, and how they don't worry about needing to know why they do it. Allow yourself to stop, even if it's just for a moment, and let yourself be a little more like that. After all, you as a human are the only creation that gets to make choices like these if you want to. In the poem this week, being a human, knowing and yet not knowing, balancing it all. Because that's what it is, guys. It's just all a balancing act. And it's weird that we're here and that we exist and that we know that we exist when everything else in the world that we know of doesn't know that they exist. It's a deep thought. I know. It's weird. It could be totally out of left field, and I may be totally alone in being the only person that thinks about these kind of things, but that's what this place is for, the Sunday Studies. And if you're here, you care to know what I think about too, so thanks for being here. I thought this was interesting, to say the least, and just like every other week, it's just things that are swirling in my head that I feel like I've got to get out there in one way or another. So if you're listening, thanks for listening. I'd like to know what you think, though. Do we need to know more, or do we need to be okay with knowing less? Or is there some other answer that we need to be looking for, or some other thing that we need to be doing? I'm open to all of it, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. But for now, I will implore you one more time to go check out all of the cool things on the Substack, because I do that every week, and I hope you will. There's a picture, the newest picture from the Webb's telescope that is just insane, a movie recommendation, a great song, some poems, and all kinds of other things that you only get if you check out the Substack, so I really hope you will. But if nothing else, I hope that this gave you some studies to fight the scaries. Reach out if you need anything. I'm in your corner. Bye. See you soon. This beautiful intro and outro music for every Sunday Studies is graciously provided by my good buddy Jordy Searcy. If you're not listening already, you're doing yourself a disservice. So go check him out now at JordyCerseyMusic.com. Thanks, Jordy. Love you, bud.